Because we don't want people to all have money. The powerful people don't want that. That's exactly the answer. And why? Because otherwise, no one would work. Do you understand? The point of putting money is not to give you money. The point of putting money is to create the illusion that money is valuable, and therefore you work hard in order to obtain it. But in order for me to make you want to get money, I need to create artificial misery. Do you understand? Right? If there weren't poor people, you wouldn't want to be rich. It's only because you see people suffer that you would want to go make money for yourself. What do your parents tell you? Your parents tell you, work hard in school, make a lot of money. Otherwise, you're going to end up like a poor person. Right? Well, guess what? If there are no poor people, your parents couldn't say that to you. And you wouldn't want to work hard in school. Right? That's why we have poverty. Because poverty creates the illusion that money is valuable. In other words, poverty isn't what you do to yourself, it is what the powerful do to you. Now let me ask you another question. You guys have studied some economics. Why do you have like crises? Crises. For example, there's a stock market crash. Or for example, the economy goes down and people lose their jobs. Why do you have crises? Exactly. You're not taught this in economics class. That's kind of weird, right? The point of crises is to destroy money. Why do we need to destroy money? Because if there's too much money in the system, people don't have to work. So you have to destroy this money in order to make people feel money is scarce. Okay, does that make sense? So why do we have wars? Right? Why are there wars in the world then? Because they're fighting over scarce resources, right? I already told you. Scarcity is a lie. The real reason is war is meant to destroy wealth in order to make you think money is valuable. You understand? You guys play World of Warcraft? Or these games, right?
Yep.
Guess what, guys? World of Warcraft, in our world, there's actually no difference. You just run around pointlessly, working hard to obtain credits in order to buy stuff. If credits just flew out of the sky, because they could do that, right? They could actually program the engine to just print money out of nothing. You wouldn't do nothing every day. You wouldn't play the game. Okay? It's only because you believe that there's scarcity in the world and that you must work hard to obtain wealth that you do any work. Do you understand this? Okay? So this world that we live in, it's a complete illusion created by central banking in order to make us work as hard as possible. Because the real value is not money. The real value is the work we do.
Enoch describes this perfectly, and this book was left out of the Bible on purpose from our predecessors, but it describes the angels coming down and cutting all these giant trees down to flood out the Nephilim, the giants, these beings that stretched 4,500 feet tall. These trees would reach the heavens, and that's why you always see the flat mountaintops, because these were massive trees way back in the day. Giant trees. This was a much bigger realm. And they came and they cut all this down because they wanted to get rid of the Nephilim. They wanted to get rid of the giants.
When God and Satan spoke face to face, there came a day when Satan entered heaven not as a conqueror, but as the appointed accuser. While the sons of God stood before the throne, he appeared among them, and no one restrained him, for he had the right to be there. Then God looked at him and asked, "Where have you come from?" And Satan replied,
"From roaming the earth, walking back and forth upon it."
Thus the trial began. The one on trial was not a king or a warrior, but a simple man, a righteous man, who feared God and shunned evil. Satan hurled his accusations with fury.
"He only worships you because you bless him. Strip away his gifts, and he will curse you to your face.
So God permitted the test, and heaven was silent, while hell unleashed its fury. Job lost everything, his wealth, his children, even his health. Everything but his faith. And in the depths of suffering, Job declared,
"The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord."
Job did not curse. He did not deny. And in his silence, he overcame the accuser. Then God spoke once more, and restored Job. He gave him double what was lost, greater riches, more children, more years of life. For the one who remains faithful conquers, even when all seems lost.
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Alright, disclaimer. This is kind of disgusting, so, alright, if you can handle it, skip it.
Chili, ma'am?
Yummy.
Sakit lah. Namanya apa itu? Yang tadi apa? Kita bayar. Kita bayar.
Did you eat that, folks?
Yan na.
Needs to know what's happening in Nepal right now. At least 8 people have died today after huge Gen Z-led protests broke out against the government's decision to ban social media. At one point, after the protests turned violent, police used tear gas, water cannons and rubber bullets against a large group, mostly in their teens and 20s, who broke through police barriers and stormed the federal parliament. As the situation escalated, a curfew was imposed and the army was deployed. But you see, the reason they're so angry is that on Thursday, the government banned 26 social media apps, claiming users have been spreading hate speech, fake news, and committing crimes online. So in response, they announced that all social media companies needed to register with the government, or their access will be blocked to Nepal's 30 million citizens. However, only 5 decided to register, including TikTok, but 26 others like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, Reddit, etc. all refused. Partly because registering with the government would require them to do things like remove prohibited content within 24 hours of complaint, develop algorithms to prevent illegal content publication, monitor for hate speech, misinformation, and harmful content, and comply with content removal orders from the government. But since the majority didn't register, the social media blackout has already caused chaos, because many companies rely on social media to make money. Many use it to communicate with family working and living abroad. Many use it for news and information. And then, of course, there's the biggest issue, the freedom of speech. Many people allege that this is an attempt to silence people's voices and their criticisms against government corruption. In fact, a series of draft bills being debated in Nepal's government right now could mean that people are fined or even jailed for content that is deemed against national interest, and would also allow the government to shut down newspapers and revoke the licenses of journalists. And that's a huge issue because today's protests were only inflamed by the social media ban. The main root of the frustration is government corruption. Their prime minister has hit back at these allegations, one, denying them, and also saying he would not tolerate the nation being undermined, and that the independence of the nation is greater than the loss of jobs of a handful of individuals. And so, as of right now, TikTok is pretty much the only platform that they'll even be able to see this video on.
It's corruption. You know, Filipino and Nepal are protesting just like Indonesian.
August Wolf Creek Pass FAA weather cam. Let's look at it. That is wild. It is very wild.
It could just be
seeing and capturing strange lights in the skies, moving about, darting about, hovering, disappearing, reappearing, chasing after airplanes, dipping down, going into the oceans or lakes. People are capturing ball lightning. People are capturing sprites, which are transient luminous events that never were seen before. Very rarely did people see things like this, but now they're starting to happen more and more. People are capturing blue jets, blue beams of light shooting up from the tops of the clouds and reaching up into the heavens. Skylights, sky pillars, sky beams, people are seeing all over the place, and it's being shown to us in the movies as well. These are sightings of what are called transient luminous events. They're supposed to happen quickly. They're supposed to be very rare occurrences. But when those things that were supposed to be and used to be very rare occurrences become the new norm, it's an omen of great change that is on the way.
People wanted an answer. If you do go to the light, what happens? Well, here you go.
So remember what I asked. If you do go to the light, what will happen to you? So basically what I'm asking you is what happens to your soul if you go to the light?
Has anybody ever used one of them before?
It's funny, everybody's all about doing their own research and shit nowadays. But here I have the biggest fucking discovery in history, and not a single fucking person wants to look. All you gotta do is take your phone and try to record these objects. You hold your lips right, you get the angles right, and you'll see them. They're three-dimensional, so you play around with it long enough, you'll be able to record atoms yourself. Hell, I don't know why everybody's not observing them right fucking now. This is a whole new fucking world you could be looking at. Nobody could give a fuck less. Doesn't cost anything, doesn't take anything, it just takes time and a little bit of effort. It's crazy to me.
Sky ice, it's firmament, it's a rock, it's something, it's from the aliens. What the fuck is this? It's from the sky. Nothing should be like that, from the sky.
Is this. We're in Afghanistan. We're looking for high-value targets. A patrol is dispatched. They missed their rally point. Nobody knows where these guys are. So the next morning, another patrol is dispatched to the same location to try to follow this trail, see where they go in the Kandahar province. And as they're coming around the corner, they start to see what looks like parts of uniforms, bones, blood. And before anybody can do anything, a nightmare comes out of the cave. 14-footer. He's got flaming red hair, 6 fingers, 6 toes. He is screaming at the top of his lungs. He is brandishing a lance. One of the men break away and start firing it. This thing moves with such agility and speed that it stuns the rest. Everybody's like, this soldier is impaled, and the giant's holding it up, screaming at the top of his one. Somebody yells, shoot him in the head, shoot him in the head. They open up fire and they basically decapitate him. What does that sound like? David and Goliath, right? He's dead. They radio him and a big, Jolly Green Giant helicopter comes in. They crate this thing up in the net. They fly him out of there. The patrol goes back and they write everything down, and then you're told, rewrite the story without the giant. So they do that. So you say, well, that's a colorful story, LA. And it is. I get that. We have a second witness who was there a few years after the event. So he's there and they're doing cave fighting training, right? And they're told, when you're in a cave and if you confront something, aim high. You mean like here? No. High. 9 to 10 feet high. And all the soldiers are going like, what are we looking at here? Years later, a gentleman called me up and wanted to get in touch. He said he was part of a government operation that received the giant bodies. And then
more than one.
Of Enoch describes exactly what happened to these giant ancient trees. It describes how these were cut down by the angels to flood the Nephilim. The Nephilim giants reaching 4,500 feet tall. And I believe once these trees were fell, the waters rushed out from below as the waters poured from above. The same can be seen today in the smaller trees. When their roots hit the underground water lines and they're chopped down, they will start gushing water like water fountains. Now imagine that with trees that stretched to the heavens. It says there were about 200 of these trees. And in the many years of looking into this, I would say that's about an accurate number. Perhaps even more. Many are still left to be uncovered, buried right beneath the surface of what we just think are nothing but hills. There was a reason why the book Enoch, along with 14 other books, were conveniently removed from today's version of the Bible. It painted a far too accurate picture of the true nature and history of this realm. Question everything, friends.
Why you always lock your doors. A man named Julio Magneto was working as an executive chauffeur for a company when he's told to wait by a dark alley to pick up a lady near Calamanda, Mexico. It's near 3 a.m. and Julio's completely alone in his car when suddenly he hears someone trying to open his passenger door.
Escucho como se estaba moviendo la chapa de afuera, como si quisieran abrir el carro. Y no había nadie. Yo, qué raro, qué extraño. Fue parte de mi susto ahorita. Miren cómo se mueve la chapa. ¿Ya vieron? No hay nadie. Miren cómo se mueve la chapa. ¿Hay alguien ahí? ¿Hola?
From outside of Julio's car, someone can be heard pulling on the door handle, trying to get in. Seeing no one there and having to wait for the client, Julio waits. But as whatever this is continues pulling on the door, he begins to pray and sees this.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase, Señor, tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos de todo mal. Amén. Bueno. Son mecha. No más.
Through his side mirror, Julio sees someone moving out of sight, almost as if they were watching him, then move right when they were spotted. Julio decides it's best to ignore orders and simply drive out of there.
You believe these are real or faked actually does not matter at all. There is a much bigger problem with crop circles. Whoever is designing these has a geometric knowledge that is so deep it requires a multidisciplinary analysis from multiple fields of science to decode these things. Magnetic field, for example. They can also take the top view, rotate it on its side, and then give you that side view. They can show you what a bar magnet's magnetic field looks like, but you gotta know that this is a 4-poled bar magnet to actually decode this. They've shown magnetic components like this motor and stator. They've taken very complex 3D geometry and flattened it down into a 2D representation of it. Some of them are even ancient spiritual concepts like the geometry of space-time, the geometry of consciousness, or the flower of life. At Stonehenge, they were able to execute a perfect Julia-set fractal. Some show detailed celestial events like the lunar calendar and an 18-year lunar eclipse cycle. Molecular geometry of vitamin A. Easy work. Correct perspective and ternary code for CERN. Easy work. this one's a quantum particle mapped from 8 dimensions down to 2 dimensions. Now, these guys really got me into this. Now, these may look deceptively simple, but you don't just draw this shape. They're describing physics concepts from something called sympathetic vibratory physics. It is very specialized knowledge you really have to dig for, think like Tesla tech. Back in the alchemy days, they hid this in symbolic art, in cathedrals, in books, and it's even hidden in your head. That goes back to ancient Egypt. Now, there are absolutely fake ones, but I don't think anyone here is dumb enough to compare this to something like that. And there remains no adequate explanation for how the stalks get bent and exploded in the way that they do in the real crop circles. So if you can't even execute this on paper, you don't get to say that they're fake or not.
I feel like the real... I have 2 cameras set up here, pointing at the lunar eclipse. One is a P900 full spectrum, the other one is a P1000 just normal. And as you can see, the P900 full spectrum is not seeing an eclipse, it's seeing the face of the moon. But the 1000 is seeing a shadow, or the supposed shadow. The P900 doesn't see it. So somehow, full spectrum or infrared removes the so-called shadow of the moon.
That's
just
pretty crazy.
That couldn't possibly be real. Well, are you sure? Are you sure if you don't run it through an AI detecting app or website that you won't find that it's 100% a true image? But not just that one. Have you seen this picture? I wonder what would happen if I run this one through an AI detecting app. Oh, a 1% chance of it being AI. And a 99% chance of a true image. But how could that be? There were never beings that existed that were that big. Well, have you ever taken a look at the Teton Mountains? That's right, Teton. Sounds an awful lot like Titan. And if you know anything, you know they love to rub it right in our faces. And they would never just create simple fact checks to make people think, yeah, those are altered images, you don't need to worry about it. Just like they would never do that for some other things either. I researched a fact check to see if the Easter Bunny was real, and there was no fact check. Why would they waste their time on something as ridiculous as a firmament or giants? Ask yourself that. But of course,
airships, actual boats that were attached to one or more balloons in the 1700s. Check this one out. This one is from one of the World's Fairs. It says Exposition Universelle 1894. At the top, we've got this gigantic balloon, and it is tied to and holding up a house, a mansion at that. If I were to zoom in, notice this underneath it. Okay, this is real. This really existed. I looked this up, I had studied this, and this apparently actually was a floating mansion that was tied to a balloon, and this right here was an elevator, an ancient elevator, 1800s, 1894. And the people down here at the bottom at the World's Fair, the people would get into these elevators. There's one right here, actually. You see this one? There's an elevator that's attached, and they would ride the elevator all the way up and get off into this huge mansion that was a floating house in the sky, a floating castle. They made these in the old world. I wanted to show you, this is from the National Air and Space Museum website and the Smithsonian, and they have a whole article that displays, this floating castle idea. Here's other ones. These are more hot air balloons. So before they actually had the ability to try to steer the ships, navigating the skies, it was pretty much balloons that had ships attached to them, which is why they're called airships, right? As you can see here, it's clearly a boat. It's a sky boat, right? People rode around. There's even a net. This guy's climbing the net, just like it's a ship, like a pirate ship or something. But these are the pirates of the air, the pirates of the sky. And they learned how to navigate the skies in the
and that was agreed to by 179 nations. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century.
It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. It is the inventory and control plan of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And so many of us around the world think that, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. Because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit. Every nation that signed on to Agenda 21 has its local Agenda 21 plan. And people in the United States are completely unaware of this. The three pillars of United Nations Agenda 21 are economy, ecology, and equity, the three E's. And everyone sort of thinks that they know what that means, the idea of social equity. It must mean that, well, everyone's going to have access to clean water and clean air, and no one's property is going to be used as a dumping ground because they are at a poverty level. But really what social equity is about impoverishing huge portions of the population and bringing down the developed nations. Everything that we're looking at now is destined to collapse our economies. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. And what major corporations want in this development is to be able to have full movement of workers without borders or boundaries, to be able to move their goods through without regulations, and to reduce wages. Of course, economy and ecology is about, these are the three circles: economy, ecology, and social equity. And where they meet in the center is balance. But really that balance is a communitarian balance. So it's not balance of well-being of the people. What it is it's a balance for corporations so that they can exploit and control and have populations in an area, in tightly packed, dense areas, so that they can be surveilled and managed.
The best flat earth proof. And it's been hiding in plain sight for over 150 years. The Suez Canal, one of the most important shipping routes in the world, is a 120-mile waterway connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Every day, massive ships pass through it, carrying millions of tons of cargo. And here's the part nobody talks about. It's perfectly level from one end to the other. No curves, no slopes. Just a straight level stretch of water for over 100 miles. On a globe, this should be impossible. Earth supposedly curves downward at about 8 inches per mile squared. Over 120 miles, that's a drop of more than 9,500 feet. Almost 2 miles of curvature. That means if the canal followed the globe's surface, ships at one end would be nearly 2 miles lower than ships at the other. And yet engineers who built it in the 1800s never accounted for curvature. Not once, they didn't need to. They simply leveled it, and it worked. Globe defenders say, gravity pulls the water into a curve, but water can only curve around a shape if it's contained. A canal isn't a sealed container, its surface is open and water always finds its level, always. And here's what's even stranger, this isn't just the Suez. The Panama Canal, the Erie Canal, and countless smaller waterways are all built level. None of their construction plans mention adjusting for curvature. You'd think if engineers knew they were building on a sphere, the blueprints would account for it. But they don't. Instead, they act like the Earth is exactly what they see and measure flat. You can see this for yourself without traveling. Just look up photos of the Suez Canal from the air. The water runs straight to the horizon, perfectly level, no visible drop. Ask yourself, how can something be that flat for that long on a spinning ball? They say space proves the globe, but sometimes the truth is right here on the ground.
Look at this thing we just found. It's got a Starlink, a bunch of cameras. It's a surfboard with a Starlink and a bunch of cameras. What is going on here? What is that thing? I've never seen. What the heck is that thing, dude? That's crazy. It's got its own internet. It's looking at us right now. How's it going?
This is for entertainment purposes. I know that there have never, ever been larger than normal beings that existed. Nah, a normal-sized human definitely swung that. And definitely swung that. That is an AI, remember? Maybe there's an agenda out there to get you to not believe in something.
It could be a bird.
By a bunch of truthers. This is BBC. Told you this.
You're going to make this happen.
No. We're going to make models much cheaper. And then we photograph the models.
Fake news reels?
That's fake news reels. For the past 10 years, people have been looking at our fake news reels and listening to our fake commentaries.
And they accept it for the truth. And you can do it. Stop 100 people in the street. How many of them have actually seen a missile or a satellite? They're just told they exist and they believe it.
Yes, you're getting there. I knew you would. You didn't really believe there were all these things whizzing about up there, did you? Sputniks and rockets. Astronauts crossing their legs for 8 days.
How long has this been going on?
Since Hiroshima.
And the H-bomb, you mean, that doesn't work either?
Right. Dirty.
Very, very dirty.
What was your first reaction? Relief. Oh, yes. Yes, it has to be relief.
You say you can put out what pictures you like on television. Doesn't anybody try to stop you?
No, nobody wants to. 99.386% of the population wouldn't believe this conversation. And the rest are working for us. And they're the top minds, the really responsible people. Scare an ostrich, buries its head in the sand. You scare a hedgehog, it rolls itself up into a ball. When a woman's frightened, she goes out and buys herself a hat.
You mean you scare us so that we'll buy more, so that money moves quicker, production moves up?
We don't say scare when we talk about human beings. We say threaten them emotionally. And there are all sorts of ways, not just the big ones like the hydrogen bomb. Overcrowd them a little with bad planning. Sell them too many motor cars. Anything to keep them a little bit removed from reality. Nowadays, people don't work for money. They work for the idea of money. They don't even love for love. They love for the idea of love. They only hate for the idea of hate. It took us 5 years to find a non-addictive tea, gave them nice little hallucinations. Made them talk like 3-year-olds. Throw flowers at policemen. Politicians are easy to control. The grosser mentality boys who like to be photographed getting in and out of Daimlers and Whitehall. They come right at the bottom of our organization. A few rungs up the ladder, there are the people in the top secret factories. Just those in a position to know they're making weapons that don't really work.
There must come a time when somebody wants to use one of those weapons. I mean, somebody is standing there with a finger on the button.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Nobody presses the button.
I mean, all...
Palantir is a publicly traded corporation that specializes in big data integration on the software level. But what does that mean? In layman terminology, Palantir focuses on the orchestration, organization, and implementation of data. A ton of the information behind the scenes that products and services need, with a focus on automating the decision-making processes with that existing data infrastructure.
Hiding this from you. If the center of the Earth is incredibly hot, then why is the bottom of the ocean cold? It seems strange that the temperature of the ocean above the Earth's core is so cold when we're told there's a massive heat source beneath us. How can the Earth's core be so hot if the water right above it is near freezing? Scientists say the center of the Earth is like a fireball, but the deepest parts of the ocean is cold enough to kill a person in minutes. But this is where it gets scary. If the deepest anyone has ever drilled into the Earth is only about 12 kilometers, and no one has gone deeper, that's less than 0.2% of the Earth's radius. And if we've been lied to from the start, maybe there's more to the Earth than we're told. Some believe Antarctica isn't just a frozen desert. They say it's a massive wall of ice built to keep us out or to keep something in. Old maps made by forgotten explorers show continents that don't exist today. Hidden lands, entire worlds that were erased from modern history. What if these hidden lands are home to ancient beings, mysterious creatures we've never seen, or civilizations with technology so advanced it would make ours look primitive? Comment Earth, and I'll send you an image of what they're really hiding in Antarctica.
In the final stages of the mind-controlling cordyceps fungal infection, the fungus takes over its body and forces it to climb so it can release spores and infect the next victim. I want to be like sound negative.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4.
I'm an outdoorsy man. Love nature. But I ain't never seen a spider web look like this. Like, what the f is that? Is that even a spider web? Yeah, it's a funnel spider. That shit looks like gel. Has anyone else ever seen anything?
World designed to make you fat, sick, and miserable. You might say, well, why would sodium, which has no calories, make people fat? Even though it's an essential nutrient in small amounts, in excess quantity, it's associated with hypertension and not to mention obesity. If you think about it, you take a tablespoon of it, it's an emetic, it'll make you throw up. If you take enough of it, it'll kill you. It's because
this video is only hundreds of years old. We were so more advanced than what we think. History is a complete lie. They are covering up something. This is definitely some sort of anti-gravity technology used by the ancient Tartarians. History is his story.
When the government puts it right in front of your face, just like this, it makes it more obvious. This is in the George W. Bush Airport, and it's showing a flat Earth map with the tree of life in the middle and a dome over top. Exactly what we're telling you. Look at the continents. Look at how different they are. This is in a government building, guys.
Who they are, you just have to listen. Everybody tells you exactly if you're supposed to be with them or not. They tell you. You just have to listen. Their body language, certain that they say, they let you know. Listen, don't with me. I'm bad for you. You just have to listen to that. You give people the benefit of the doubt. You try to believe that they're going to be a good person. And you try to believe that this has your best interest at heart. And then it fails every time.
Did we just step back in 2021? Because for the first time in years, there are more people out of work than there are jobs available. They said the job market was strong, right? They told us that the companies were hiring, right? They also said that the economy was steady, but that's all a lie.
This is pure magnesium, and this is why compasses only point to the north direction. They don't work in the south because this is too far away. Once again, guys, let's look at some more government organizations here. The United Nations, Flat Earth Map. The World Health Organization, Flat Earth Map. The International Maritime Organization, Flat Earth Map. World Meteorological Organization, Flat Earth Map.
In all my years of living, I have never seen nothing like this in my life. What is this? I'm gonna thank every tree doing this now. I thought that was the wind blowing the pans or some little pan cone things. Nah, fam. Look at, nah.
What are those? Have 3 hearts and blue blood, but the reason why will blow your mind. 2 hearts pump blue blood to their gills, while the third pumps blood to the rest of their body. But here's the crazy part. When an octopus swims, its main heart completely stops beating. That's right, every time they swim, they're basically holding their breath and risking their life. This is why octopuses prefer to crawl along the ocean floor instead of swimming around. Their blue blood uses copper instead of iron, which makes them terrible at carrying oxygen. So they've evolved with 3 hearts to compensate for their inefficient blood system.
Why is this in your food? Banana cream pie was baffling to me. I swear to God, this has 60 ingredients. Vegetable oil, soybean and palm oil, mono and diglycerides, yellow 5, yellow 6, soybean oil, titanium dioxide. It's banned in Europe, by the way. The European Food and Safety Authority, which is leaps and bounds ahead of what the U.S. is doing for food safety, found it, quote, no longer safe to eat, based on hundreds of scientific studies showing that it has genotoxic effects, meaning that it has the ability to damage your DNA to the point of leading to cancer.
But now we understand that the inland taipan is the most venomous danger noodle on planet Earth, even recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records. Inside that creepy little body is enough venom to take out 100 full-grown adult humans, or 250,000 mice. But not only do they have the most potent venom on Earth, they also have the most complex venom on Earth. It's not a neurotoxin, it's not a hemotoxin, it's not a myotoxin, it's all of them combined. And their venom contains an enzyme that pushes the venom through your body faster.
Oh, Michael Jackson was exposing the music industry about how the songs that you sing are like a mantra, and it gets absorbed and you start to turn or act like that song. Oh, tell me more. Michael Jackson tried to expose how songs are like an actual programming, same as things on the television, how it can program you into doing things or saying things or thinking things a certain way. Same with the music that you consume. It can actually alter your brain chemistry.
Cult organization. We're working behind the scenes to manipulate the way that people think. The war that we are waging is a guerrilla war on the human mind. And we use musical frequencies, the dominant frequency, which I've referred to before, and symbolism and imagery to awaken dormant aspects of the human mind. And what we're waging is a cultural war right now on every front, in music, in literature, utilizing the media against itself. And we're using music because that's the instrument that young people respond to right now.
1923, and most people will say either relativity or E equals MC squared.
Right.
But in fact, he won his Nobel Prize for the work that he did to articulate and quantify the photoelectric effect.
And the photoelectric effect, again, is, can you explain that just briefly one more time?
In the very simplest of terms, it is the process by which light becomes electricity.
Right.
He also, in that paper, defines light as part particle and part wave. So you can see the particles of light striking certain materials like selenium or cesium, and that causes a disturbance in the electron orbits of those atoms that causes electrons to spin out, and from that you can create an electrical current.
I'm negative or whatnot, but what's good with the devil? What does that mean?
Well, the devil is like, I'm not what people think. Like, he's like, people come to me, but I don't go to people. Like, devil's not like, oh, I'm gonna tap on you and like possess you. Devil's like, I don't do that. So the stereotype about the devil is not true. Devil's like, people come to me and they ask me for things, but I'm gonna get something from you. If you want to say, I want to manifest $50 million from the devil, and the devil's like, okay, I'm gonna give it to you, but I'm gonna get your ass in a car accident to get you that $50 million.
So it's like the sell your soul thought?
Yeah, basically.
Where's the devil? Is hell real?
I don't think hell's real. No. Devil's on a different, like,
in his own realm.
Different dimension, different frequency.
Yeah.
Brown had gained international attention for creating Plastoline, a solar-powered reactor that uses microwave pyrolysis to convert plastic waste into usable fuels like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. The breakthrough invention positioned him as a rising figure in grassroots innovation. Before going silent, Brown shared an alarming video with his 1.8 million followers. In it, he claimed he was being threatened, hinted that he was under surveillance, and warned viewers to record the message. He described unusual activity around his home, including what he believed to be a helicopter monitoring him. Soon after, his accounts went offline, sparking rumors that he had either gone into hiding or been silenced.
Like to live with a hole in my hand.
Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel and I was born with a congenital condition in my hand that resulted in a hole in my palm. And I know what you perverts are thinking. I don't do that, okay? Okay? Without fully developed tendons, I have limited movement in some fingers. I can't really articulate my pinky, my ring, and middle finger, but it doesn't stop me from trying to play the piano.
This piece off here and put it over here. And now you see, the United States is no longer in the middle of the map. Right. Now I did this with a major record company in New York City, I think in 1970. And an older man stood up in the back of the room and said, "Now Elliot, you've gone too far." I said, "What's your problem?" "You can't do that with the map." I said, "Well, actually you can." He said, "No, the United States isn't in the middle of the map anymore." I said, "The United States never was in the middle of the map. You need to realize this depends on how you draw your map." And then I pointed this little fact out to him. South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland. Even though it doesn't really look like it. No, it is! South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland. Crazy.
Protests have erupted all over the world, and a lot of them are revolving around one issue, and that's immigration. First, we have Australia, and quite literally all over Australia. Hundreds of thousands of people have all come together to march to end mass immigration, and even the farmers are mad at their prime minister. I mean, he literally got ran out by tractors. Now, this was fueled by a different issue, but still around the same time. We then go to Japan, where some of the busiest streets were flooded with protests against immigration and also against their new program, which received major backlash, to pair 4 Japanese cities with 4 different African countries. The UK also protesting immigration, and I'm sure you've seen some of the clips online, but these are getting fueled by some very controversial stories about asylum seekers. We then go to Indonesia, and I've gotten a lot of messages to cover this because things here are getting violent, but it's...
Last night, Indonesian police have officially opened fire on civilians. They did this following instruction of our very own president telling them to seriously act on the so-called anarchist protesters. The authorities cut down the lights in that area. They assaulted journalists who were live streaming. They made sure no one was there to document or to live stream what was about to unfold. They banned TikTok Live, which means they take away our only source of raw, unfiltered, real-time update on what's been happening on the street. They also restricted national TV from broadcasting or covering about the anti-government protest that's been happening. All this started because the members of the parliament, the ones who are sitting comfortably, have the audacity to dance and joke around while the rest of Indonesia is crumbling.
Break this down for you. Most people don't even realize electric vehicles are a threat to everyone's safety. Because if people actually knew what's put inside each of them, no one would purchase electric cars again. Because psychologically, we've been conditioned to believe that electric vehicles are the future of freedom and new technology, as if swapping gas for a battery plug makes you more sophisticated. Because the truth is, every electric vehicle is powered by a massive lithium-ion battery, where if it overheats, it can trigger a chain reaction and set the entire car into flames. And because these vehicles all run on computer software, they're vulnerable to being hacked and can ignite the battery to self-explode. Which means this was never about innovating transportation. It's about building the perfect weapon for mass fear and control.
Why? Google Vault 7. It will knock your socks off. There was a CIA computer engineer named Joshua Schulte. He was apparently a disgruntled engineer. He didn't like his boss. He didn't like his coworkers. They didn't like him. So he just downloaded the crown jewels of the Directorate of Science and Technology and sent it all to WikiLeaks in 2017. He revealed that The CIA has developed technologies to, for example, remotely take over your car by hacking into the chip. Why would the CIA want to take over your car? To make you drive off a bridge, maybe? They developed technology to reverse your smart TV to make the speaker into a microphone with the TV still appearing to be off, so you don't know that it's broadcasting everything that's being said in your house to CIA headquarters. They were able to hack into other countries' most sensitive technological systems and to leave little scraps of code, but the scraps of code are written in Russian. So people say, oh, the fucking Russians hacked into us. Actually,
That allegedly wireless technology activated by the ether, which is way up in the sky, actually is real. It's all alleged now. Check this one out right here, man. And you tell me how these columns, they're going to say, oh, it's for earthquakes and stuff. You just see if it was like, out of the level or whatever. Come on, man. Come on, dude. You know how hard that probably was to do? Here's another one. Look right there. You see that? It comes off, it goes out. What's up with that, man? Look closely. These buildings, man, look at that thing spinning, dude. They say these buildings were allegedly able to fly. I don't know if it's true or not, but all these rotating columns and whatnot, man, it sure does make you wonder. I mean, the architecture alone is just insane, isn't it? Can anybody translate what Homeboy was saying on this one right here? Because, man, it's actually pretty cool. And this video has been around for a long time, so no, it's not AI or anything.
Y'all ever wonder what happened to B.O.B., the rapper who was known in the mid-2000s? He was really big around that time, and out of nowhere, he went on a big hiatus, and he came out exposing the industry. He spoke on the flat earth theory and many other theories, and people began to even call him crazy.
The English language is full of curses and spells, hence why we learn how to write in cursive, how to spell in grade school. Each week, we wake in the morning to go to our jobs, on the weekdays to earn a living. Awake is a funeral for the dead. Mourning is what you do when you lose a loved one. You have to be in a weekdays to earn a living, since earn are ashes for the dead. Job is Hebrew for persecution. At the end of this, you get the weak end of the deal, and we're weakened.
Now, I don't watch his Insta stories, so I don't know if he still speaks on it or not, but his Instagram looks a little interesting to me these days. Now, we have Chris Brown, who just posted something really interesting on his Insta story, talking about the government and this whole UFO disclosure situation.
Keep us occupied with so much. It's almost like we're a race of people with amnesia. Ever so often, you'll hear about somebody who has this supernatural ability. They'll do a brain scan, and they're able to use an extra 0.5 of a percentage of their brain. Imagine where your senses would be if you didn't have to worry about making money, about paying bills, if you didn't have to grind so hard. Where would your senses be? Human freedom is a direct enemy to the control structure. Throughout history, we've heard stories about certain tribes of people who just completely disappeared. There's a group called the Anasazi. The Anasazi is a whole tribe, a whole group of people who disappeared. No one knows where they went. There was food still left on the tables. It's almost as if everyone disappeared at one time. I believe this group was able to transcend and reach a certain level of consciousness and travel to a different dimension. We just seen at congressional hearings in America from UFO whistleblowers, Rep. Luna doesn't call them aliens. She says extra dimensionals. Retired FBI agent John D'Souza, who ran the FBI's X-Files program, he has a book called The Extra Dimensionals. It's of my belief that these aliens and demons are pretty much non-human time travelers who can go in and out of dimensions, and some of them feed on the fear and anxiety and despair of the human condition.